And look at that, the icicles off the light. It is freezing cold, plus the snow squalls. Not a pretty picture. In fact, blizzard-like conditions are happening. Owen Sound, Goderich, Barrie. If you're traveling up through Barrie on the 400 and then switching over to Highway 11 or Route 26, a lot of these highways could be closed. I know Highway 6 north of Guelph was just a mess, Highway 8. So do check your route before you go. 20 to 50 centimeters of snow still possible for Muskoka. So along with that, the wind chill warnings. And how are people reacting at airports? Have a look. Oh, so important to pack your patience, but we've all been there, right, where you really want to get to where you're going. Oh, well, 30 to 50 millimeters of rain on the coast. 50 to 70 for Tofino. So this is a series of many low-pressure systems that will work their way into the Pacific coast. And so get ready for the rain. If you're in the prairies, not really a big warm-up with that warm front, but it will be a little bit drier in the south, but cold still. That's awesome. I've seen that a few times now, and it doesn't even bend. It's just like a solid, it's like it's a piece of metal that he's banging it off against. Thanks, Mike. All right, London, you broke a record feeling like minus 42. Cold enough to freeze tank tops. Windsor, where Mike was, just along the Detroit River there, they did not break a record. However, they did dip down to minus 39 with the wind chill. So very, very cold. Wind chill warnings in effect for northern Ontario, southwestern Ontario, and then into Val-d'Or and eastern Quebec. All right, blizzard warnings. This is the big one I want to highlight because Owen Sound through Barrie, through Goderich, Wyerton, you could see that 444 criteria that we talk about with a blizzard. So 40 kilometer an hour winds or greater, 4-hour snowfalls. That means a duration at least 4 hours, and then a visibility less than 400 meters. So if you are in those areas, there's a lot of highway closures, such as Highway 6, Highway 8, Highway 26. I know that throughout the day they've had closures, so you could still get up to 50 centimeters of snow through parts of Muskoka. That same low that's triggering all of the lake effect snow with these strong winds has now moved in to the north. Take a look at that. It's Iqaluit that is under a blizzard warning and also a very strong potential to break records where winds are concerned. 130 kilometer an hour winds are possible. All right, let's show you this. Manitoba's dealing with minus 41 in Brandon. That was this morning with the wind chill, minus 45 for Winnipeg, and Minneapolis, Minnesota is no exception to this grip of Arctic air. So let's see, how long will it stick around? Well, that high pressure slides down to the south. Our storm systems, as a result, sort of dance right over that high. That warm front will kick up some northern snow for northern Saskatchewan and Alberta and Manitoba, but it will not warm you up. What we're waiting for is a shift in the jet stream. That will start to warm our temperatures. BC, with that shift in the jet stream, we're looking at storm after storm. There's about 3 lined up to move in, so get ready for the heavy rain on the west coast. Gone, and a series of new ones for the west coast. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal, still dealing with the residual effects of the area of low pressure that has moved through Ontario, Quebec, and now Atlantic Canada. I know you have seen it all over the last 24 hours. Watches and warnings are starting to diminish. The winds, however, are not diminishing. In fact, we see very, very strong gusts. We could see gusts in around that 80 to 100 kilometer an hour range. Monica Viswani, a meteorologist behind the scenes, said it's a sea of red on that map, and it really is. By Thursday morning, things start to subside. Now we take you on to Ontario, where the winds play an important role into lake effect snow today, as well as the temperature of the lake still playing a role. But look at this westerly direction. The reason I want to show you that is this afternoon, they really don't shift too much. Yeah, pretty much predominantly out of the west, right over Georgian Bay. And that's important because my brother lives in Bracebridge, Ontario, and I've got a lot of friends up in the Muskoka area. They have been getting hammered in that area with snow, up to about 50 centimeters, I'm told, just from this round of squalls. So through tomorrow morning, we still could get an additional 10 to 25 centimeters. By the way, lots of closures, road closures through Collingwood, Owen Sound. Make sure you check those roads if you are headed that way. Could be dangerous conditions. And of course, airport delays. Kevin Yard tells us more on that. Yeah, at Pearson Airport or other places. Stay bundled up. Sarnia, feeling like minus 38. That's with the wind chill. London broke an all-time record, feeling minus 42. Windsor did not break the record of minus 42 that they set back in the 80s. They actually hit minus 39. So pretty darn close. When it's that cold, who cares? It's cold. All right, the Paw, you're still feeling like the minus 40s through Winnipeg, and it's a cold one right through the prairies. High pressure dominating. We are watching a cold front that will move through southwestern Alberta. Could see some scattered flurries. It should be fairly light, though. Stay with us. More on the way. chills. You are professionals at dealing with the cold. But guess what? Places like Ontario and into Quebec and into Maritimes, we're looking at the same type of wind chills. For once, it's not always like this, but look at this. Minus 25 in Edmonton, minus 29 in Toronto. So there you go. Minus 37 in Winnipeg and a minus 30 in Montreal. We have a few tips. I really like this graphic. I want to show you, what can happen to your skin with the risk of frostbite. So 10 to minus 27, low frostbite risk. But once you get into the minus 40s, you can get frostbite in 5 to 10 minutes. Into the minus 50s, frostbite in 2 to 5 minutes. That's all. So in addition to lake effect snow going on this afternoon through Muskoka, very bitter wind chills. So we recommend not going out on the roads. As you can see, a lot of these same bands are going to set up through Muskoka. So Bracebridge, Huntsville, Gravenhurst, Dorset, all those areas. Maybe you have a cottage in that region. It's going to be bad. And the problem is if anyone gets stuck on the side of the road, if you drive off the road because of the conditions, it's absolutely frigid out there. A good place to visit this time of year, Hawaii. Will we tell you a little bit in this week's Time Lapse Tuesday about a dormant volcano? And thanks for staying with Canada's #1 source for complete and accurate weather forecasts. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal. Let's talk a little bit about this storm that not only brought anywhere from 30 to 40 centimeters through Ontario, but now the snow squall's set up, and we could still get up to 50 centimeters of snow through Cottage Country, through Wyerton, Godrich, those areas. Make sure you give yourself lots of extra time if you must be out on the roads, but we don't recommend it. Wind chill warnings in effect to frigid air. And finally, things clearing out in the east. Let's go to Nathan Coleman, who can tell us the latest. Nathan?
Now let's head it back inside and see what's going on in the studio with Jaclyn.
Thanks, Margot. I bet you can't wait for that. Yeah, we are looking at a pattern change coming up in the long-range forecast. At least the next 4 or 5 days still be in this cold pattern. Minus 21 for Winnipeg, minus 10 for Toronto by Wednesday. That's a lot better. Street, you know you live in Canada when. Gotta love it. Thanks for sending that in. Maybe that was Susan's daughter. I don't know, but it sure looks fun. All right, minus 27 in Regina this evening, minus 8 in Calgary. You can see a surge of mild air, 5 degrees for Vancouver, minus 27 Winnipeg, even Toronto at minus 17, and Ottawa, very cold for them. Montreal, minus 17, and minus 11 in Halifax. So you get the drill, pretty cold. By Wednesday, daytime highs about minus 20 in Regina, same for the Manitoba region, and minus 10 for Toronto. On the west coast, fairly mild, minus 7, not so bad. All right, snow squalls have been the theme in Ontario today. We've seen this persistent westerly flow off Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, and that can make for some intense rounds of snow, and the model doesn't have it going anywhere until Thursday. I had a chance to dig into that today in my Science Behind the Weather. Well, as if 25 centimeters of snow with the area of low pressure that moved through central Ontario wasn't enough, now dealing with snow squalls early part of the week. Let's take a look at what Bracebridge looked like as of Tuesday. Low visibility. You can see that camera is actually clean. You just can't see anything there. All right, let's talk a little bit about the radar on Tuesday. In the afternoon, we persistently saw this westerly wind bring in one streamer, and it's a thick one. A lot of heavy snow associated with that right through Parry Sound and east, and they sort of tailed off in Huntsville. But this was like this Monday overnight, Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday into the afternoon. Of course, scattered flurries everywhere else. But this one band, of course, we need a couple factors when we're talking about lake effect snow. We need the open water. Still in January, we have the Great Lakes that are not frozen over completely. We're focusing on Lake Huron, Ontario, and Erie in this particular setup. Snowfall rates, I told you, as much as 5 centimeters per hour, and persistent west winds. Persistent any directional wind, but it's got to be persistent to get the heavy, heavy snow. Here's a look at the temperatures. Lake Superior at 2 degrees Celsius, still at 6 in Michigan, and Lake Huron and Lake Erie now 0 degrees. So it's definitely cooling down there. Lake Ontario 6, but we still need that 13-degree difference between our air above the lake and the lake temperature in order to have that convection, so that warmer parcel of air will rise, condense, form into snow, and dump it in the lee of the water. I love Canada, that t-shirt says. Even when it is frigid outside and you can freeze a t-shirt out in the cold. Yeah, we're talking about wind chills in the minus 40s. Some areas even flirting with that minus 50-degree mark with the wind chill. Some records broken in Ontario, but not for you. Winnipeg, you did not break the record. However, wind chill of minus 45 is pretty cold. All right, Brandon feeling like minus 41 this morning, and Regina feeling like minus 38. There is relief in the forecast. By the end of the week, a lot of places across Canada will be feeling not a big warm-up, but a significant enough warm-up. We won't be above seasonal everywhere, but a lot of places will see that type of transition. High pressure in and around the eastern prairies. We see this warm front move through in the northern prairies. It will slightly shift temperatures, but not a whole lot. But down in the south, we start to see temperatures flirt with the 0-degree mark by Thursday, and even by Thursday, Friday into Ontario and eastern parts of Canada, we could be in for a more comfortable like temperature. Wind chills in effect, though, while we're here now. All right, let's take you now. Kind of a neat way to have a bit of fun when you're dealing with these frigid temperatures right from northwestern Ontario into Quebec. And really, we're seeing the worst of it still up towards the north, but Toronto even at, minus 30s, Sarnia, minus 31. The worst part about this story is that we're dealing with major snow squalls in the area and blizzard-like conditions. So if you did get stuck in your car on the side of the road, make sure you have lots of warmth with you. A candle's a good idea, an emergency kit in general, and lots of warm clothing. All right, warm front moving through this evening through Nova Scotia. We start to see that lift over Newfoundland. Could see some snow definitely in the area along with that cold front, along with that trough, and then maybe even some sea effect, but not a real big system, not like what we've been dealing with the last few days. Speaking of wind chill, you just saw the frozen shirt. Make sure all of your skin is covered during temperatures like this because it takes a wind chill of minus 10 to minus 27. It's a low frostbite risk. But when you get into the minus 27 to minus 39 range, you can get frostbite in 10 to 30 minutes. How about minus 40 to minus 47? Only takes 5 or 10 minutes. Into the prairies, we'll see temperatures around minus 8 in Calgary with partly cloudy conditions tonight. We'll tell you about the West Coast. Stay with us.